Should you summon Slime Christmas Edition? We finally get our first seasonal units in the game, and the crossover units, so I mean, it is what it is. Either way though, it's still extremely hype because some of these units are really freaking strong. But let's not waste any more time, man. Let's get into them, talk about them. Real quick though, I do want to say that if you want more of like an in-depth, detailed breakdown of all these units that are coming from the slime crossover events that we're going to be having over the next couple of weeks in Grand Summoners, video popping up on your screen right now, and also a card in the top right. If you click on that, it will take you to my video where I go over and break down every single unit that is coming with slime. So everybody who's on this banner is going to be Santa Rimuru, Santa Milim, and Santa Shion. That's actually it, and I don't think they're going to be adding anybody else because the first crossover banner I think only had the 3 crossover units, so I'm pretty sure this one's also only going to have the 3 crossover units that are featured. So Santa Rimuru, let's go over the man first. He's a little bit of a different unit compared to the other units that are on this banner and even like in the game right now. So his skill affects everybody whenever it goes off. So the first effect that you will be getting is autofills everybody's art gauge by 1. That will be the first effect. The second effect, or the second time you use the skill, you'll get increased attack by 10%. And the final one is HP auto recovery by 1%. And after that, it resets back to the arch gen, then it goes all the way through back to the heal. It's not really too complicated, but you may want to keep that in mind whenever you're using them. Next is his art. His art, he increases everybody's art gauge by 20, and he also reduces damage from the bosses by 30%. Not increased damage taken by bosses. No, he is reducing everybody's damage taken by the boss, which means that he's giving the entire team 30% damage resistance. But this only works against giant bosses. Keep that in mind. So if you're trying to use him against like Ganon's not considered a giant boss. In order for it to be considered a giant boss, of course, the boss has to be pretty freaking big. You guys know. And the true art is a 38,000% water damage magic. You increase all allies damage by 60% and magic damage by 60% for 20 seconds. So Rimuru's first passage is damage 50% up to giant bosses. Second is equipment CT speed 10% up. And then last one is the Holy Star, which is water and demon units damage 30% up. So if you're using Rimuru with someone like Juna, that's a 150% damage up specifically for Juna, on top of all the other damage buffs that Juna is going to give her set. Because a lot of the top tier units, especially attackers, are demons. So Santa Rimuru is definitely going to have a place in the meta in terms of buffing their damage up. Santa Milim increases her own art gauge with her skill by 10, and she also increases her own status by 10% for 10 seconds. This is of course, you know, her HP attack and defense. Her normal art is a 23,000% fire damage physical. You reduce the enemy's fire resist by 30% for 10 seconds. And then the true art is 40,000% fire damage physical. You increase all allies crit rate by 100% and autofills art gauge by 3 for 10 seconds. I think her arch-gen type is type B though. I'm pretty sure it's type B. So don't know about arch-gen types. Card popping up on your screen right now so you can go learn about it. Her ability is damage 20% up to an enemy is under 30%. Crit damage 40% up. And the final one is Demon Lord of the Holy Knight. Art and true art effect lasts 1.5 times longer when HP is over 80%. I have a lot of stuff to say about Santa Milim, but I'm gonna wait till we talk about Shion and then I'll, you know, talk about everybody. So next is Santa Shion. Her skill is increased BE output from own skill by 30%. Art is dark damage physical, increase own skill CT speed by 100% for 20 seconds. True art is 62,000% dark damage physical, increase own accuracy by 100% for 10 seconds. Abilities are damage from enemies 10% down when near death, freeze time reduction, and freeze evasion rate 100% up. And the last but not least one is the number 1 secretary of the Holy Knight. Own damage and attack up every time art or true art is activated up to a maximum of 150%. So yes, that means 150% attack and 150% damage. And those are all the units. Now, I have a lot of stuff to say. Santa Rimuru, I kind of already touched on a little bit because Santa Rimuru is just insane. Not really too much wrong with this guy, to be honest. If he had more support slots, he would even be stronger, but with him just having only one is perfectly fine. The man, God tier, super OP. Santa Milim, though, I don't really like too much. She has a lot of stuff going for her. The only problem is it's her slots. Her slots just aren't that great, and because of that, it's gonna be really hard to use her in other comps, especially if you're trying to use her as your main arch gener. I do want to say though that I want to see a unit like this again in the future that is more of a supporting unit that is able to give arch gen but also crit rate at the same time. I've been really wanting that for a very long time because it kind of helps out certain damage dealers in the game that may not have built-in crit to them, because I want to see another unit archetype built like this. It's just very unfortunate that I don't think Santa Milim is going to be that unit that I really want for that specific thing. It's just not going to be good enough. And then Santa Shion, I think, is somewhat sleeper. Like, she's okay, don't get me wrong, and she has a lot of stuff going for her, especially damage ups and everything. And if anything, I think she'll be the sleeper hit of this entire banner. It's just the same thing that I said about Santa Milim. Slots really aren't that great. The 5-star defense, though, I do kind of like, but I'd much rather would have preferred them to give a 5-star support than a 4-star defense, just because it would help her out a ton and make her so much better. But she's definitely going to be able to deal the deeps like in certain hard content. The main problem with her, though, compared to other ramping damage dealers, is that she doesn't give anything to her team. For example, Yusuke gives art gauge to his team. Juno, art gauge to her team. Cilia, art gauge to the team. Pretty much every single ramping damage dealer gives something to their team after they are fully ramped. But Shion isn't getting anything apart from damage and attack, so it sucks a lot that that's kind of missing from that department. She's not getting art gauge to herself or anything like that, so it's gonna be very hard to keep her going with art gauge whenever she doesn't even give any to herself. If she was more like Goblin Slayer and was able to give herself art gauge or stacking art gauge, it would be insane. But unfortunately, without giving her any type of art gauge, she's really not going to be that good, and I highly doubt anybody uses her over someone like Judo, Cilia, Yusuke, stuff like that. So now, with all that being said, should you summon on this bet? Of course, if you want these slime units, right, you just loved how they look on the Christmas version, of the case may be, or you just really want the first seasonal units to come out to GS, then go ahead, I can't stop you. But for everybody else who cares more about meta, or cares more about making sure their account is future proof and has stuff to clear content, let me tell you this, all 3 of these units aren't necessarily required. Even Santa Rimuru, he's gonna be good in so many comps with Vox and Juno. Like, that entire meta is just gonna be wild, especially in raids. It could definitely get somewhat crazy, but you guys already know we have another Rimuru coming in a few weeks, which is gonna be New Year's Rimuru, and then that's gonna even break the game more. But all 3 of these guys are pretty much luxury units. You don't really need them. If you're new or free to play and you wind up picking up Santa Rimuru, that's like best case scenario, because he is really like the best unit from this banner, and I really think the other 2 is just gonna underperform you and disappoint you more than help you. And it's gonna be the same way with veterans and intermediate players, whatever you want to call yourself. I feel like Santa Rimuru is the real prize of the banner, and the other 2 are just there and they're not really that great. So for everybody, here's what I say: unless you're a whale and you're gonna be whaling for these guys and you want to somewhat summon, if you want to summon and try to get Santa Rimuru, see if you get lucky, do a one and done, do your guaranteed 5-star multi, and then that's it. Just because the other 2 units really aren't that great, and New Year's Rimuru's coming out like in a few weeks. I know a lot of people are going to be wanting to go for him and save for him. If you don't care about this banner at all, you don't really care about Santa Rimuru or even trying to get him, just skip the banner entirely and save for New Year's Rim. But hey, man, that's how I feel about the banner. That's what I feel like you should do. Tell me down below if you're going to be summoning, if you're going to be welling out. Tell me all that good stuff. If you are doing any of those, I hope you get them pretty early on, and I wish you the best of luck, my friend. As for me personally, I'm skipping. I really only care about New Year's Rimuru, so I'm gonna be chilling out on this banner. But hey, man, thank you all for coming out again. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. It's been your boy OP, and last but not least, don't forget to drink water.